Welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns, hosting the Skyward Sword 80% tournament. Losers bracket round 3, indykenobi versus Chimera. Commentating for us today is KitKat, who is waiting for one of these runners, possibly, to meet him in the winner's final. Say hello, everybody.
Hello. So yeah, this is the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. 80%. It's a pretty confusing run, relatively speaking, as far as Zelda games go. But I'll try and break it down as easy as possible. It's still going to be quite hard to explain. You're never going to get anyone who's going to be able to explain it entirely, but you know. So we've got two runners, indykenobi versus Chimera. These two runners are pretty close to each other, so it's going to be interesting to see who can come out on top. But yeah, I think it'll be quite a close match today. So just waiting for it to start. We see that you probably just tell from the text that Chimera is using the Japanese version and indykenobi is using the English version. Japanese is the fastest text by, I think, 8 to 9 minutes, at least compared to English. So that will be a slight advantage Chimera will have. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it has any major impact. Although Indy does have the NTSC 1.0 version, which does have system clip, that only saves like 1 minute in comparison to PAL or just any other English version. Okay, so the timer has started, and yeah. Okay, so we can start off this run by skipping cutscenes. That's because this is done in hero mode. Hero mode is the kind of new game that you unlock after this run has been, and it has a couple of advantages. The biggest one being skipping cutscenes. Other advantages being upgraded Skyward Strike and double damage. And double damage is very useful in this game because we want to die a lot. I think you want to die about like 25 times if I remember correctly, something like that. Also, we can kind of see the different routes of these runs will be going off. So Chimera is using the newest route, and he's talking to Fledge, which will be he'll be using that to kind of set a flag later on. Like he might do some like weird stuff, like talk to someone or like break some board, seemingly out of place. But yeah, like these are all useful like set of flags, which will be useful in the glitch known as back in time that they'll perform pretty soon, I imagine. So now we can kind of see like comparing them, we can kind of see the difference between Japanese and English and just how fast Japanese is. Basically. Yeah. And then we just okay, cool. Yeah, most of Skyloft is pretty chill, I guess, up until the wing ceremony. As this is as both runners, I'm assuming will do a safer route. There'll be a little bit more like going on regarding back in time, so we'll see.
Interrupting really quickly, for some reason Chimera's stream is not refreshing on the restream, so I'm going to refresh the restream and try to get that going. 1 second, please.
Okay, that's fine. So I mean, I can still see Chimera's stream, so I might as well just like film what he's doing. So at the moment, Chimera's like just about like 30, not even 30, like 10 seconds in front. He's saving at the low academy statue, and this is for the safe route. There are kind of 3 main routes you'll see most runners do. The first one is the fastest, where you just kind of do a YOLO strat. Like you just like have no safety save. You just go with the like winning so many cutscene skip, and the who like is the fastest route because like based on Japanese, where you just kind of go for it. But if you mess up the wing ceremony, then you lose 4 minutes, and that's quite bad. It's essentially just like the run is basically just killed like 7 minutes in. And then the next one you see people do is like a safety save. Okay, I think like the issues kind of fixed. I don't know. Anyway, next thing you do, safety save. This only saves time over the save route if you get the cutscene skip, because in this safety save you still attempt the cutscene skip. But if you get the cutscene skip, it saves time. If you don't, It doesn't. The next one is the safe route, which is, I'm assuming, what both runs are doing, where you don't attempt the cutscene skip, but it's like slightly faster. Say if you were like not to get the cutscene skip on the safety save. So you see both of these runners activate back in time. They're playing on the title screen. So basically, in this game, if you die, the game will kind of prompt you to do something. It will prompt you to continue, I mean. And if you press continue and reset the console, you can play on the title screen. What you can see both runners doing is they're creating a crop file. They copied file 1 to file 3, and then they deleted file 3 and then saved at a bird statue. Because they still saved and the file is technically deleted, it keeps the file around, but it sets every value to 0, which will be useful to kill themselves later. Essentially, and the reason why we have the crop file now is so that we can just avoid having to do the cutscene skip. Because the cutscene skip is pretty hard. So what both runners are going to do, they're going to enter the goddess statue, with file 1. This is kind of the confusing part. And then they both charge the Skull Strike for the goddess sword, and as soon as that's done, they press start. And in theory, they should have the goddess sword. I mean, it doesn't look like it right now on Chimera stream, if it's fixed. Or more like on Indie stream, like, it doesn't look like he does, but they have to do something to commit the flag into memory. And this is done by either like reloading the area, killing yourself, or revealing a hidden rupee. So in this case, they just roll into a Groose cutscene, and then bam, they have the goddess sword. Alternatively, yes, English. In the fastest route, what you normally do is you would instead of saving at the lower academy statue, you just go into the Groose cutscene, get the practice sword, and then go to the cave here. And this is like the only reason why we actually need a sword is so you can actually get the Loftwing. Basically, so both these runs are pretty close together at this point. They're no longer than like 10 seconds apart, maybe 20. Yeah, it does look like the Chimera's issues fixed, or like just the issue in general with the restream. Okay. So in the fastest route, what you normally do is you take damage here, in the cave at least, because you do the cutscene skip. In this case, you wouldn't, because your health is already set to 0 on the crop file, so there's no point. And yeah, so at the moment I could probably like give just general context about this game. So this game was made in 2011. It was for the Wii. It does use motion controls, which can be a little bit finicky, but most of the time they work if you know how to use them properly. And by I mean like try and point the motion controls, or try and point the Wii remote at the sensor bar, and don't like make huge motions. Otherwise you'll lose calibration easily. And that's kind of, and other than that, the motion controls do kind of work pretty well. Also, I haven't mentioned this yet, but both runners used a one file name. Used a one character file name. Yes, that's right. And that's because the text scrolls. That kind of just makes the text a lot faster, basically. So now they've saved their Loftwing. This is kind of a whole reason why we technically can't leave Skyloft. Okay, technically we could leave Skyloft, but you'd like get all your heroes' clothes and then you jump off Skyloft and you don't have your bird. So this is quite useful because we do kind of need our bird if we want to progress through the game. So I hope you like this tutorial that Chimera is going through right now, because we'll see it a lot in Back in Time. In order to go into Farron Back in Time. But yeah, and as these two runners are doing the safe route, neither will be attempting to cutscene skip. Yeah, at the moment it's quite chill, to be honest. There's like nothing really going on. So I don't really have much to say, if I'm being entirely honest. Just, yeah, other than Chimera has a slight lead over indykenobi. It's not a big one, it's a pretty small one. And also, one thing I was mentioned is that tutorial, you can't actually advance. You can only kind of, you can't really advance it, but you can like kind of prompt it to stop by kind of flapping the Loftwing's wings, and that's kind of the best thing you can do. in that situation. So now most runners would do the cutscene skip, but because we're doing the safe route and we made the corrupt file, we're just going to kill ourselves. And yeah, and so the corrupt file is probably the easiest way to activate back in time early game. As soon as we get bombs, we'll be able to kill ourselves much easily, but as we have the corrupt file, we can just use that. So, and now we're here. I believe that what Chimera should do is he's doing the practice sword IBM, which is essentially getting the practice sword in reverse, in back in time, I mean, so he can apply that value to file 1. Now you might be asking, well, we've got the goddess sword, so why would we need the practice sword? Kind of the same reason why we talked to Fledge earlier, or why Chimera talked to Fledge earlier, is to set flags in this game, which will be useful in back in time later. So Chimera is going to bit save file 1 and then copy file 1 to file 2. Just note on copying, it's very important that you do it when you don't have control of Link, otherwise the game will crash. Because it'll try and open the map, and as back in time has no map, it'll crash. So in this sparring call, the timing here is very important. So you open the chest with file 3, or the corrupt file, and you don't select file 1 until the second text box, or some point during the first text box. So you clear the first text box and select file 1, clear the second text box and start file 1. And if you've done it correctly, you shouldn't crash. So Chimera got it fine, Indy's just attempting it right now, and yeah. And also one thing I'll mention is the goddess statue is always open on back in time Skyloft, so they don't really have to worry about that. And the reason why it's always open is because back in time Skyloft is kind of like a specific layer on what Skyloft is. Because you're not actually meant to play on it, they kind of left a few details out, such as the goddess statue being open. But anyway, so now Chimera's got kind of the first tablet. This is the Farron tablet. This game is kind of cut up into thirds. In a speedrun, you play through most of the first third. You skip some parts of the second third, and the final third, I mean, you skip completely. For the first third is essentially just you place like the Farron tablet, you go in the Farron, you do the dungeon, you get the second, you get the Elden tablet. Then you go through Elden, you complete that dungeon, you get the Nehru, then you skip the Nehru. And that is all done within about like an hour and 10 minutes if you're quick. But anyway, we'll get into that as we kind of come to it. Now, Chimera has got the hero's clothes. And yeah, he's also getting the adventure pouch. Technically, we can skip the adventure pouch. But except we can't because we need a bottle to open. We need bottles to hydrate some frogs in Fire Sanctuary. Because technically we can like skip these with back in time, but they'll kind of come back to bite us later. And so again, Chimera just leaving the academy, and indykenobi not far behind him. Okay, so there's also kind of an instructor that Chimera just ran past. He will give you a shield, a wooden shield. In any percent, most of the time, most people won't go for it unless they're going to do something. But for safety, for like if you want to do any safety strats or just you're unconfident without a shield, you're unconfident, yeah. You're not confident without a shield. You can just talk to him because it's like pretty kind of accessible or convenient. But no, both of the runners will skip the shield. So Chimera kind of dive to the left. That's to put his Loftwing closer to the pillar. He's also going to dive off right now to avoid a fire cutscene. Or a cutscene with fire, rather. Okay, so Chimera just entering Farron. Again, this cutscene you'll see a lot in back in time, so I hope you're ready for that. And again, indykenobi is not far behind him. One thing I will say about this game is because of its like nature of its like really complex glitches, if you make one wrong move, it's really easy to just lose minutes. So, like in a race setting, you can see like two reasonably close runners that like look like they're really far apart, but because of how like how like really kind of savage this game is. It's like losing minutes is like really not uncommon. So these are a couple of not Pokemon, that these are Deku Brothers that Chimera is just going past. They're a bit tricky, but they're not too bad. And hopefully you'd have 6 hearts so you can damage down to 2 when you jump down to the seal here. If you only have 4, you can do a side hop. You can like jump down to 2. They can do a weird side hop. If you get down to 2 hearts at the end of those Deku Brothers, then you just kill yourself because there's no way out of it. So the only reason why we kind of need to go down to the seal in the first place is to first of all open up the door at the sealed temple, and second of all to kind of wake up the area in a sense where we're like getting some air gusts. But yeah, as you see on the camera stream. So now Fi will talk about dowsing. Now dowsing is completely useless in the speedrun. And what's funny about this is that even when you say no, she says, "Oh, well, I'll tell you what it is anyway," because I'm annoying. Yeah, Fi is pretty annoying. In my opinion, she's the worst companion character. But I don't know. There are actual good features to this game. Just yeah. Okay, so now we kind of got Chimera just making their way into the sealed temple, and Indykenobi again is not that far behind. Like he just hit the goddess, hit the seal. I mean, one thing you'll notice by having a look at this, by watching this run is this area is kind of a main hub for the game. Like you'll notice that we often tend to like revisit areas a lot. This is probably the most revisited area, the sealed grounds. So I hope you're ready for that. So now he's gonna get a revitalizing potion. That's really there for like the bottle that we need to hydrate frogs in Fire Sanctuary in about like an hour and a half's time. But yeah, I mean the revitalizing potion is also useful because it's a convenient way to heal yourself back to 6 hearts when you want to. And as like the potion is like so convenient there anyway, we might as well get it. So now Chimera is talking to Impa. Yeah, spoiler alert, that old lady is Impa. We're not meant to know that until after you've beaten the game, but yeah, I'm sorry, I just spoiled the game for you. So now he's gonna place down a beacon. This beacon is stupidly precise. Yeah, you're using the zoom in strats. Yeah, that beacon is dumb. Like, if you're slightly to the left, Granny will go, "Oh no, you've got to do that again," and it's really annoying. So yeah. And kind of at these like long text spaces, you'll kind of see how Indy's at a bit of a disadvantage when he's at English text. So yeah. I do believe Indy's doing a slightly different route. I don't know if he's doing bomb skip, which only really makes sense on the NTSC 1.0 version because of system clip. But first you're unaware, system clip is a way to get into the basement in Ancient System by kind of clipping through the floor at the entrance. It's only possible on the English NTSC 1.0 version, which is the version Indykenobi has. It's not possible on the Japanese version, so we are going to see, I believe, different routes here. So Chimera kind of showing off the kind of powerfulness of the Skyward Strike. Because we're in hero mode, the Skyward Strike is like crazy OP, and we'll mostly be taking advantage for that pretty much throughout the run, mostly at the beginning of the run, but even like towards like the end of the run, we'll still be taking advantage of just how powerful the Skyward Strike is. So yeah. Again, like because Indy's on English, she's like only just finished talking to Impa, and like now Chimera's talking to this Goron dude, basically. So now basically the statue's unlocked. As I kind of learned at ESA together, it's only really these statues, but we still need to activate them anyway because skipping this would be slow. So now this log, you can technically just like push this log a little bit and jump up that way. But that's because you have to come here multiple times. It's just quicker just to like push it down the first time. Okay, so Farron Woods. Farron Woods is probably the most chill part of the game. Like, nothing really happens at all in Farron Woods. Okay, so we see Indy kind of having a bit of struggle with the overpowered Skyward Strike and killing all the Bokoblins at once. It can be a little bit finicky, but it's often not too challenging, but, you know, it's like... It can be a challenge. So, Chimera kind of just waiting a bit to talk to this Kikwi. That's because it's really dumb. Like, the Bokoblins will be dead, but then the Kikwi will go, oh no, I'm still being attacked, and yada 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 yada. It's dumb, so you have to kind of wait a little bit. So here are Kikwis, these little creatures that kind of make up for how boring this segment is. Because this is literally just going to be us, like, running after them for, like, 15 minutes. So I hope you're ready for that. But, I mean, commentary-wise, there isn't really much to say here, other than Kikwis are probably the best characters in this game. And, yeah. Do they really make up for it? Yes, they do. Like, if we ever find a way to skip Kikwis, it will be a sad day in Skyward Sword speedrunning. Okay, I mean, technically we can skip them-ish, not really. But I'll kind of explain that later. So now Kamo's just kind of bonking into these, like, kind of, mushrooms, that's what they're called, yes. He's also going to bonk into this kind of, what's it called? He's going to basically get this vine to be lowered so that it makes kind of routing of this area more convenient. And yeah. So now Indy is just kind of falling behind by just meeting this Kikwi, and Chimera is having a pretty civil chat with him after basically chasing Machi down, I think is his name. Also, it's kind of a fun fact, as there isn't really much else to say in this. All of the Kikwis are named after, like, types of tea. Like, there's Machi, Ulu, I think is one of them. I don't really know. I don't remember the exact names. Ask India at the end of this, I don't know. But I know there's, like, they're named after pieces of tea. So Chimera just kind of finishing that up. Now he's now what Chimera is meant to do is he's meant to go to the Kikwi Elder, and then the Kikwi Elder will say search for all the Kikwis. But as we kind of know to do it, it's faster just to search for the Kikwis anyway. And the Kikwi Elder is like a master of disguise. He's really difficult to see. Like I know that we just passed him because I've played this game enough to know where he is, but you'd be forgiven like if you couldn't see him, because he's pretty difficult to see. Like he's really well hidden. The Kikwi Elder. So I would just say stamina here's like really weird, but yep. So Chimera is also going to kind of show another kind of technique of how overpowered the Skyward Strike is, or try to. Again, they can be a little bit finicky. Ah, there we go. He got it quite nicely. Yeah. They're pretty satisfying when you get as well. Like you just kind of rip apart just a whole group of enemies, and like just one slash is nice. So now this Cookie's kind of a bit too scared to jump down. So in order to kind of get him down, you have to bonk into the tree, and it's like, yeah. Okay, so again, there's kind of there isn't really much to say here. It's kind of just Farron is kind of just running around, finding these guys. There is a total of 4 of them, and right now, Chimera just found the second one. The third one's kind of hidden in these like grass where you have to like cut it in a very specific way so you don't move. But like, I'll kind of come to that when I get to it, basically. Some water. So this vine is a bit weird. You have to kind of go backwards in order to make the full jump. So yeah, not much is happening right now. So just wait for it, I guess. Again, kind of around this area, stamina management is very important. Like because of how much movement is kind of in this area. Like if your stamina's off, or if your stamina management's off, then yeah. So what Chimera tried to do is he tried to cut the grass in a very specific way. He didn't do it quite enough, and oh my god, he's moving really slowly. This is the kind of problem why you want to cut the grass in a very specific way, but he is just moving really slowly. Okay, yeah. Wow, okay, I've never seen like it be that bad before. Usually just kind of moves into one position, but that time he moved, and then he moved again. That was kind of painful from a speedrunning standpoint. But it was cool, because it's a Kikwi, and Kikwis are cool. Okay, so Chimera's just got like one more Kikwi to find. Because in this game you do kind of have to backtrack a little bit, he is going to push down this log here. So, yeah, we kind of got indykenobi just kind of finding the guy that's like kind of stuck up the tree. And yeah, again, I was just saying, like movement in Farron is very important because there's like a lack of glitches, so you can't exactly rely on them for speed. And I haven't actually spoken about stamina management or just movement in general in this game, so I should probably do that now actually. So how the movement in this game works is often you want to sprint as much as possible because sprinting is significantly faster than walking. Rolling is technically the fastest movement. Oh, nice. Yeah, rolling is technically the fastest movement. For every roll you do, it saves roughly a frame. But rolling takes up more stamina, so it's kind of a like a question of, do I have enough stamina to make it here? Like, if yes, how much more excess stamina do I have so I can roll? Yeah, so basically kind of how the movement goes is you want to roll when possible, but avoid walking. So anyways, now Chimera was talking to the Kikwi Elder. Again, he's really, he was really hidden, like, he kind of just, like, came out of nowhere, but, I mean, I've run this game a million times, so I know where he is, but it would make sense if you didn't know. So now indykenobi is just kind of cutting the grass here, and he does it quite nicely as well, so the Kikwi doesn't move. Okay, so Chimera kind of getting the slingshot. Now here in the run is where things go from kind of a little bit chill to really, I don't want to say difficult, but they go quite insane. Like, in the next 5 minutes, a run can easily be lost, and I've lost like most of my runs to like the next 5 minutes, personally. So what's coming up is a trick known as extended blow. I'll get to that when I get to it, basically. But that's a RNG trick. That's like a 1 in 4 chance, and if you lose it, you lose about a minute. So Indy's kind of having a little bit of problems. So rip. So in the meantime, I'll just kind of comment on what Chimera is doing. So for that vine there, you can do this kind of frame perfect trick where you just before the seed hits it, you can talk to Fi, which skips this cutscene. It doesn't save much time. It's kind of like a bonus thing that people go for. Okay, Indy's back in theory. Anyway, yep, Indy's back. Nice. Okay, so now I want to see everyone's blessed RNGs in the chat because now is extended blow. So, I'll kind of explain how it works. Basically, I shall just like see if Chimera gets it, and then I'll explain it basically. So basically, how it works is you kind of slingshot the guy with the blue hat, and then this guy down here, who's kind of the main dude. Then you want to slash and spin attack, and hopefully, okay, yeah, that didn't work. Mainly because the reason why this is so RNG is because the knockback of the Bokoblin is random. Again, it's a 1 in 4 chance of the thing you want. And what you want him to do is you want him to land just on the edge so that he kind of voids out. So then the Bokoblin has no position. And as you are doing a fatal blow on a Bokoblin that has no position, the game takes you to 0-0, which is right outside the dungeon. So therefore, you, at this point, Chimera would already be in the dungeon. But fear not, there's now this thing called cube warp you can do, which is you kind of use this bokoblin to get a Skyward strike in to hit that cube. So then there's also this Phytex skip. That's pretty difficult. He gets it though, which is nice. But anyway, it's pretty difficult. So Chimera is just entering Skyview. Indykenobi just got the slingshot. And so extended blow, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not really a huge deal, but in a PB attempt, it's pretty big. Like, the vast majority of runs that I've made it out of Skyloft, I've lost due to extended blow, and even those ones, yeah, basically done it. So now we're in Skyview. Skyview is very unforgiving. There are kind of two dungeons that are unforgiving, kind of the first two dungeons. Skyview is kind of unforgiving because you do this, what's known as the bit warp, which I'll explain in a minute. But you do that quite early on, and if you die, you spawn right back at the beginning of the dungeon, and again, you lose minutes, as I've said, because that's kind of how this game works. You like make one wrong move and you lose minutes. So Chimera is just going to activate back in time by continuing and then resetting the console, and so then you'll be able to play as Link on the title screen. So I've kind of roughly explained what a bit warp is. I'll explain what it is actually now. A bit warp is where you take the coordinates from back in time Skyloft and you apply them to map on your file, basically. So he's going to bonker this tree with file 2 set, and then he's going to kind of run to the to the upper academy. I mean, so Indy's just like, sorry, just Indy's off topic, not off topic, but you know, Indy got extended blow, so that's nice. He's definitely going to catch up. So ultimate Chimera is just going to save and start the file at the same time, and this will save the coordinates from back in time to the file, which will put him quite a long way into the dungeon. Everything right now is unloaded, so he's going to have to go back into another room to kind of reload everything. But yeah, again, this dungeon is very unforgiving, so and because you're only at 2 hearts, there is very little room for error, so you have to kind of make sure that you are like very careful with your movement and just general play. Yeah, and you got extended blow. Again, there's like a roughly 1 in 4 chance of getting that, so yeah. Okay, so Indy just doing the back in time. So now again, everything's kind of reloaded. Like this spider wasn't here. He can be quite a pain to get by. But basically, you can like often. Okay, well, Chimera just died. Rip. Yeah, again, basically what happened there is that he tried to get past this bokoblin by kind of running, but sadly that guy kind of caught up to him, and because that spider's there, he can be quite difficult to deal with. Yeah, and again, this is kind of why this dungeon is very unforgiving, because you're at 2 hearts all the time, and if you make a small mistake, you get into this situation. And this actually allows Indy to take the lead again. So again, just one small death can cost minutes, and that's exactly what it does. Okay, so now I'm going to basically kind of mostly concentrate on what Indy's doing, because he's at the moment in front. So again, he's going to kind of unload, kind of going to reload everything, I mean. Also, one thing I didn't mention is that Indy's going to break some boards. Same reason why he got the practice sword in back in time is to kind of set some flags that'll be useful for later. Okay, so now as I was saying, there's a spider here. He can be quite difficult to get past, but with a bit of practice, you can often do a pretty well-timed jump. I mean. Okay, so Chimera just doing the bit warp. And indykenobi just making his way into the kind of main room of this dungeon. So most of the time you'll be able to kind of Okay, well, I mean, technically he can finish the dungeon right now, but there are a few things he needs to do. Most notably, he needs to get the beetle, which will be useful for kind of Earth Temple in general. There's a Chimera just kind of making his way past the spider. Ooh, and he dies to the spider, so he's having a really hard time in this dungeon, so F in the chat for Chimera. But yeah, that spider can be a little bit of a pain if, yeah. So now indykenobi's got the beetle. Yeah, F in the chat. Now the beetle is really just used like once in the run. Yeah, that is that is a pretty bad death, especially like most of the time. Like you're often able to deal with the spider, but you know. The Skyward Sword is not a very forgiving game. That's fine. The Chimera does have about like 2 hours left to catch up, so it's fine. So now the way you kind of exit the room is kind of interesting. You use the beetle, so it kind of naturally teaches you how to use it, which I think is quite cool, I'll be honest. Okay, so now Indy's going to kind of kill this bokoblin that's really kind of inconveniently placed in general. He's also going to try and get this rupee through this small kind of narrow pathway. This rupee is again the same reason why we broke the boards, was to get some flags onto file 1, which will be useful for back in time later. So Chimera just doing the bit warp for a 3rd time, rip, and indykenobi just making his way through Skyward Temple. So Indy's going to kind of kill this guy by jostling him off the ropes, and he's going to very quickly go to the he's going to save. He has to be quick, otherwise the guy won't actually spawn. So now he's going to kill himself. Now he's going to do back in time. Now he's going to do what's known as a reverse bit magic. This is going to be quite difficult to explain. That's kind of the nature of it. But I'll try my best as possible. So basically what bit magic is where we set flags on files which do weird stuff on like back in time Skyloft, i.e. like you push down a log and then a door opens it back in time. Reverse bit magic is where you set flags on Skyloft and you apply them to the map, to like the file specifically. Okay, so so basically what's Indy's going to do is he's going to bit save file 3, copy file 1 to file 3, and like that'll be useful for later. And then he's going to start the file and then try and run to the cutscene there. And now it just look like he did nothing. I'll say what he tries to do in a moment, but for now, just note that was moderately important. Okay, so now Indy's kind of got the worst part of Skyward, which is the vines. Vines are bad. Also, shout out to Exto for making a vine tutorial. That was much appreciated. But no, these vines could be quite tricky. So, yeah. Okay, so oof, and Indy doesn't make it for the 2nd time. And again, these vines can be very tricky. Like, no one's safe from them. If there's one thing that if there's one thing that like all tiers of runners fail on this game, it's the vines, and Indy's definitely having some trouble with the vines. And this is going to allow Chimera some catch-up time. Okay, Indy finally gets it, which is nice. So then he gets the boss key. Sadly, there are like no boss key skips in this game right now. Vines, please. Yeah, I know. But yeah. Yeah, he gets kind of the returning vines, which are often much more difficult. But yeah, because you're not meant to go back that way, you're meant to kind of go back another way. But yeah, Indy was had quite good returning vines. So the boss keys are kind of like puzzles in their own right. They'll get difficult as the game progresses. As the game progresses, I mean, sorry. But yeah. So everyone get hyped for the first boss in this game. He's really difficult. Nice, Indy did it. First try. Oh, okay, so let me kind of explain what happened there. Because Indy set the flag on back in time for that cutscene started. So he started file 1 and started the cutscene, which set the flag of that cutscene starting onto file 1. On Skyloft, that specific flag might have been that cutscene. On Skyview, that specific flag was that door being opened. And okay, Chimera just having a little bit of issue with that book in there, but he kind of sorted it a little bit. And that's kind of why it's so powerful, because you can take flags from Skyloft and apply them to any map, and you can essentially do stuff like skip entire bosses or skip in extreme cases. It's the reason why we can skip basically 1/3 of the game. So Indy's just done with Skyview. Chimera is just going to do the reverse bit magic that Indy did to skip Girahim. Also, yeah, that guy's called Girahim. He will be back. Don't worry. He'll be a bit mad that we kind of skipped him, but anyway. So now Indy's going to save and quit. This is so then he's going to use file 3 to essentially kill himself because he needs to activate back in time again. Basically. So again, this is kind of why I want to act quick when he saved, just after killing that guy, so he would respawn again. Okay, so now, then again, he's going to continue and reset the console. But there are kind of two ways to do it. You can reset the console like physically on the button, or you can use the home menu. Indy used the home menu, which is slower, but I mean, I guess. This one's a little bit confusing, so I'll try and explain it best I can. So bonk into the tree with file 2, and then grab the rupee with file 1. Bonking in file 2 just opens the door, and grabbing the rupee with file 1 puts the rupee tablet into back in time. Also, Chimera just got the nice jump flash. So then he examines the statue of file 1, and bit saves. Excuse me. Then he bit saves file 1. The bit save is just to kind of put file 1 onto back in time Skyloft, so it's like more convenient. And examining file 3 is to kind of raise the pedestal, so you can put the tablets in. So enter the goddess statue with file 3, or just any file, doesn't really matter which one. And so because we examined the statue with file 3, the pedestal raises. And this is also why we broke the board, so that it would do this in the first place. So then he's going to place the rupee tablet. You might be asking why he's doing this in the first place. Basically, then Indy's going to start file 2 at a specific time after during this cutscene, and that will set the Elden pillar onto file 2, which will be very useful for Farron back in time. Why is useful for Farron back in time and not Elden back in time? I'll explain when I get to it. But yeah, so then Indy starts it at a pretty precise time. It's not loose, but it's not frame perfect. And then you check by looking at the sky. And it worked for him. Excuse me. And so he can just kind of quit. And because he did that on file 2, he now has to do that on file 1. So then he starts file 1 and then does it on file 1, and then he makes his way to Elden. So now we got kind of Chimera just finishing up Skyview, who's a little bit behind due to his deaths in Skyview. So here's kind of like a long cutscene. There aren't really many long cutscenes in this game, but they are kind of like the longest cutscene where you can kind of just not do anything is I believe I don't think it's this one, but they're about 30 seconds long. There's a few of them. There's this one. There's the imprisoned cutscene. There's the Skyward cutscene. There's a good few of them, and they're like good cutscenes for like kind of standing up if you're doing like a longer game session. Okay, so now we got the repeat tablet file 1 on Indy's side, and now he's going to go to Elden basically. So, so basically, Chimera is just going to start performing the early Elden Pillar, reverse split magic, and indykenobi is making his way to Elden, basically. Not really much for me to say right now. There will be in about like 1 minute, but nothing right in immediate now, so just kind of watch it, I don't know. Also, just want to say that I'm not the best commentator at this. I'd say that I'm a good runner at this game, but like I'm not very good at commentating. I'm kind of a like last resort guy. Just want to point that out because I'm not like good at commentating. Anyway, so now indykenobi is going to save, which will be very useful because he's going to do another bit warp, similar to how we did in Skyview earlier. But basically, he's going to go to the Bazaar statue, and he's going to save and start his file at a very specific location. Otherwise, he'll kind of spawn inside the Gora statue, and that's not good. Basically. So, Indy's going to run down these steps. And to kind of line himself up. Actually, no, what is Indy doing, actually? Actually, my mistake. Indy seems to be doing something different. What I believe he's doing, then, is Farron back in time. Because he bit save file 2. Yeah, he's doing Farron back in time. So basically what he's doing now, ignore what I just said, I'm dumb. Normally you would do the bit warp, but Indy seems to be doing something different. I believe he's doing, I think, bomb skip. If I'm correct. Oh no, he's doing something else. Yeah, I think I know roughly what he's doing, but I don't know exactly. So basically he's doing Farron back in time. What Farron back in time is so he's able to like get into the tutorial in back in time by bit saving file 2, which spawns Lothringen, and then calling his Lothringen with file 3, and just before the like loading zone happens, like loading screen happens, he selects file 2, which allows him to excuse me, allows him to enter the tutorial. And because the game is like, oh, this is like the first time you're ever going anywhere, even though it's Elden, it automatically puts you in Farron. Because now he's in Farron, and somehow it doesn't crash. I don't exactly know. I don't know exactly what he's doing. I know he's like. I'm assuming he's gonna do a bit warp somewhere in Farron, but I don't exactly know where. So as he's doing that, I'm gonna kind of shut up. I don't know. Okay, no, he's doing a bit warp here. So basically, he saved the coordinates here, and that puts him way out of bounds here. So what Indy's doing here is he's trying to skip the digging mitts. Digging mitts are like this item that you get to kind of progress your game. On the Japanese version, it's quicker to get the mog mitts. Digging mitts, I mean, sorry. But on NTSC 1.0, it's like slightly different. Like, for example, on NTSC 1.0, bomb skip is an actual thing. And so yeah, Indy just skipped the digging mitts. The reason why it's faster in English to do this is because text. because most of the time in English you want to avoid text. In Japanese that's not the case because of just how quick it is, but in English you do want to do so. So skipping digging mitts is actually quicker, and as they're like the only application for it, you might as well. On Chimera's screen, there you'll see the bizarre bit warp, and it's not just a strange bit warp; it's like a bit warp at the bizarre statue, and the bizarre statue is the statue which indykenobi bit saved at. So let me just explain what indykenobi is doing. Indykenobi is going to do a reverse bit magic. This is going to be pushing the gravestone in nighttime Skyloft. So he first needs to make it night. So he's going to go to the item seller's shop house thing. Yeah, it's English. And then he's going to kind of sleep until night, basically. Yeah. In this case, it doesn't really matter which file he chooses, just any file will do, basically. So, when he goes out, it's very important that he selects file 2. If he selects any other file, or just doesn't select a file, then the game will crash, so we don't want that. Also, on Chimera stream, we just saw the bizarre bit, and so now he's going to basically go to there. So now in Indy's screen, he's going to start the file, and then he's going to slash the gravestone, start the file, then push it. And then you kind of saw the starting of the cutscene. And what that does is, again on Skyloft, that flag might be the shed opening. On Eldin, that would be the Earth Temple opening. So that kind of skips having to get the keys. And you'll see if that worked later on, which it should have done. So on Chimera's screen, this is something that Indy skipped. Chimera's going to kind of show off like how powerful this Skyward strike is by killing all these goblins. Ultimately, you get this first try, but it can be quite difficult to do so. But he kind of gets it roughly quickly. Oh, nice rupee. There appears to be one that's like just not cooperating. Oh, there it is. Sneak 100. So Indy's kind of making his way up. Eldin. Eldin is really consistent with movement. Like, there's not really a place where you have like not much, or where you have mostly walking. Also, I think Chimera actually picked the wrong option there. You want to pick the right option for that one. Option-wise, in general, it doesn't really matter too much. There are kind of specific parts where it does matter. Like, I think here, for the Kikri Elder as well, you always want to pick the left option. Like, I think that's probably the biggest example. But again, Indy's pretty much done with making the Elder Volcano. So now it looks closed. But after this cutscene, you'll see that he can just walk right into it. Also, on Chimera's screen, somehow he doesn't die when he kind of places the bomb there. Yeah. Okay. So, basically, Indy's just about to enter the Earth Temple after this cutscene. Chimera's just, Chimera didn't get a circle. So circles is basically where you roll into this cutscene and Link runs around in circles. It's really cool because you wouldn't want to see Link running around in circles. It loses a frame because of like kind of what angle you exit the cutscene at, but it makes it up a lot because Link's running around in circles, and it's funny. So yeah, Chimera is just about to do the reverse bit magic to open the Earth Temple, and indykenobi was like, you know, I don't feel like getting the keys, so I'm just gonna walk into it, and here we go, Earth Temple, basically. So Earth Temple, very similar to Skyview, it's incredibly unforgiving, mostly because you're on 2 hearts for a lot of it. And dying is incredibly easy. Also, fire keys are incredibly annoying. Like that one that Indy just got yeeted by. Like, they're pretty annoying. Also, he's Skyward striking and then jumping. This is to kind of skip the cutscene. Basically, like he's skipping like kind of cutscenes. So he'll do it here again. This is probably the one that matters the most. He Skyward strikes and he kind of jumps roughly over the lava, and because the game thinks, oh, he's gonna die, so it doesn't play the cutscene, but then he doesn't die, and so no cutscene. So then there's kind of this Alphos. He can be a little bit of a pain, but he's not too difficult to get past. Okay. So now, what he's going to do, another RBM. He's going to do the same one that Chimera is doing right now, and the same one he did to open the Earth Temple. And again, in Elden, that RBM might have corresponded to opening the Earth Temple. Here, that specific flag corresponds to like the raising of some platforms, which we use to advance through the dungeon, and it's much quicker than going like through boulder stuff. I do believe there's a trick called boulder skip, which is still quicker, but that's just no, because it's a double frame perfect trick, and it's really only something that should be attempted by either TAS or by idiots who really want to get a 207, basically. So Idio's just going to do the same thing he did in Elden, which is just sleep in the item seller's house and push a gravestone as well. So nothing spectacular. And Chimera is just making his way up to Elden Volcano, almost at the Earth Temple. So again, Indy makes sure he has file 2 and doesn't want to start a file. If you start a file then back in time accidentally, you're kind of in a bit of trouble. And again, it's kind of a reinforcement of just how brutal this game is. So he starts the file and then pushes it after whacking it with a sword. And yeah. Okay, I don't think Indy's going for bomb skip here. Yeah, he's not going for bomb skip. Bomb skip is something you can really only do on NTSC 1.0 because of the system clip. Wow, and he got the thing. Okay, that's pretty surprising because he didn't have any setup for it, for the Mogma text skip. And that's usually pretty hard, but he got it, so good job to him. So yeah, now he's going to blow up this rock. You can skip the cutscene, but he kind of did something great wrong there, so oof. And yeah, so now he's going to get... So he can skip another cutscene by slingshotting these Alphos, which for some reason just stops the cutscene in that one. Now these guys aren't too big of an issue. If you run out of stamina, then they can be a bit of an issue, but mostly they're fine. So again, Chimera just entering Temple, and indykenobi just getting the bomb bag, basically. The bomb bag is really only... Okay, the bomb bag does have a little bit more application than all your other items, like with the beetle or the whip. Whip we'll see later. But the beetle is like only used once, and that one use is what Chimera is doing right now. I mean, technically you can skip the beetle, but it's like... that requires a TAS-only trick. And also quite heavy RNG from the keys. Okay, so now indykenobi is basically going out of the room. Excuse me. So basically what Led says is like, yeah, you keep the bomb bag, so then we keep the bomb bag, and then he gives us 5 bombs. So then we have 5 bombs to start with. So yeah, so Indy's gonna die right now. This is to basically get to like the center platform quicker. Or no, I'm confused. Okay, first of all, this like cutscene that he skipped, basically has like kind of come back because he yeah, I'm still confused. Oh, okay. What basically happened is, Indy, he jump slashed over the trigger, for this cutscene right here, for the cutscene where it's like about giving him 5 bombs, he jump slashed over that. I've never seen that happen before. Like, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty interesting. Because of that, he did kind of lose some time, but yeah, and because we the RBM, these pegs are raised, so therefore we can just advance through the dungeon. And again, bomb skip is a thing, but it's only really a thing on NTSC 1.0 because first of all, skipping a bomb bag is quite difficult anyway, and second of all, it's actually slower, basically. Actually, okay, I don't think it's slower, I think it's just really difficult. I don't know the exact application of it, but just to get the bomb bag unless you're tasked, basically. Okay, so here Indy's going to stand in a pretty precise spot, so he's not going to get knocked up by those boulders. And he's going to do a technique known as stutter sprinting, which is where you lightly mash the A button. So you can kind of keep your momentum for longer periods of time, which allows you to get up places like that. Without having to like blow up a side of the wall or something like that. So Chimera is not actually going for the Mogma tech skip, which makes sense because it's pretty difficult. So indykenobi is just getting the boss key right now. And yeah. Also, indykenobi is going to be basically Indiana Jones right now, minus the whip, sadly, by kind of running down from this boulder. There is a route, an NTSC 1.0 route, where it's like assistant second, where you get the whip, and so you can actually be proper Indiana Jones, but Indy didn't do that. Also, 1 hour pog. Also, that boulder is the boss, which is Skyward. So Skyward is kind of not a very good boss in my opinion. Like, fun fact, I was kind of like looking at like Skyward bosses on YouTube, and then I saw like this one guy that was like, Skyward was a great boss. I was like, how? Skyward was an awful boss, because you literally just like run up, run down, bombing, and it's really... Skyward is not a good boss. He's substandard Mike Wazowski, and you'll see what I mean later. But yeah. Anyway, so this is basically the boss. You want to make sure you have at least, I think, 8, 9, or... you want to make sure you have bombs, basically, for it. Otherwise, you have to kind of waste time collecting bombs. Indy's going to get 10, which is probably the best thing. So Chimera just getting the 5 bombs from lead. Also, like how the what was I gonna say? Like how the Kikwis are named after tea, the Mogmas are named after pieces of metal. Like there's lead, the other one which isn't important, but yeah. Anyway, so now here's Girahim. He was a bit pissed off that we kind of skipped him the first time, so he's back again. He'll be back for the remainder of this run, pretty much. He's kind of the he's like Zand from Twilight Princess, where it's kind of he's the kind of secondary villain, if that makes sense. He's not like the main villain, but he's like kind of a servant to the villain, or in that case. In this, anyway. So yeah, Skyward. This guy is very annoying from a speedrunning standpoint, if he wasn't annoying anyway. He's pretty precise to get good. So there are multiple strats how you do it. I believe the one Indy's going for is okay, yeah, it's hard to explain this one to be honest, but he's like trying to basically keep him down here, or like all of them basically try to keep him down here and not and basically try to make him not run up. So there you just saw Indy kind of bait his mouth open. And then Indy's almost done. Okay, Indy just had like a bit of an unlucky start. Like I think there he was meant to try and get one last hit in, but he didn't. That's kind of why Scoldo is unlucky, because he has these really annoying like threshold shit, like where it's kind of like yeah, you do enough damage and he's annoying. Anyway, so now he's dead. Scoldo is he's one of those fights where it's like really difficult to do quickly. And there's also some RNG involved on like how his eye moved as well. Sometimes it like maybe isn't any RNG if you're good enough, but if you play anything less than perfect on Scaldera, you essentially rely on good RNG, and most of the time you make some form of error in Scaldera. Haha, funny. So basically, here's a heart container. Indy's gonna skip it. I believe they're gonna get at least one heart container, both runners in the run. I'm pretty sure that'd be a fire sanctuary, but I don't really know for certain. So Indy's gonna make sure he has at least 5 bombs here. 5 bombs are essentially just needed to complete the rest of the run. We won't need any more than 5 bombs. So Chimera just entering Scaldera and Indy just finishing Scaldera and finishing Earth Temple. That's kind of why Earth Temple is such an unforgiving dungeon as like a speedrun type. Like if a run makes it past Skyloft, like the cutscene skip at least, Extended Blow and Skyview, it still has to deal with Earth Temple, because and it's unforgiving because first of all you're at like a really low health at the fire dungeon, and fire dungeons are naturally difficult, because you're at low health, it's much more difficult. And even when you're not at low health, you still have to deal with Scaldera, which is a really annoying boss from a speedrunning standpoint. And so for the most part, from now we've been playing the game mostly how you normally play casually. We've had like a few skips here and there, but now we're just gonna like really kind of ramp things up and change a lot. So because Indy got Extended Blow, there would be a cutscene, but because he did get it, there's no need for a cutscene here. So now you notice the Thunderhead's open. You might be asking why. The reason why is that RBN in the Earth Temple that we did to kind of raise the pegs, it also opened the Earth Temple. Don't ask me why, it just did. Also, I will say the loading zone for the Earth Temple, for the Thunderhead, I mean, is really weird. It's just, yeah, weird. Okay, also, most of the time you'd like go a little bit down. You'd like fly a little bit down to avoid these sky skeleton things. I don't know the exact name, but yeah, you do that. But yeah. I mean, Indy didn't do that. Like, most of the time it's like, make sure they don't hit you, but he's fine. So, Chimera having... I don't want to say Chimera's having a little bit of trouble with Scaldera, but Scaldera isn't exactly clean. It's again, it's not the easiest fight in the world. So here Indy's at this puzzle. Because we're speedrunners, we already know the answer to this. It's not a hard puzzle. It's just it's a thing that exists. There is a way to skip this puzzle, which is faster now. It used to be slower because you used to come here 3 times. Now you only come here once, so it's actually quicker. But it is frame perfect, and the only person to ever get it once was TLO ZSR, like in 20 something. I don't know. Like I wasn't speedrunning back then, but it's frame perfect. You have to like do these in like a really weird way, and then you have to like roll into it. It's really dumb. Like it's something really Tash should do. It's like not really RTA viable. I say Task, but like you can't actually really task this game because of the Wii Motion Plus, which is unfortunate. But anyway, Chimera kind of taking a lot of bombs, which is I mean, fair enough. Like bombs are good in this game. So the only reason why we came here was to get Pharaoh's Courage. The only reason we need Pharaoh's Courage is to open the Silent Realm. And the only reason why we need to open the Silent Realm is to get the scale. The only reason we need to get the scale is to get into the Aegis system. And the only reason why we need to get why I need to finish Aegis system is to prevent a crash at the prison. So kind of a lot of these kind of actions you have to take just to prevent a crash at the end of the game. Because technically we can skip Aegis system. We could skip all of like going to this place and getting the song malarkey, but no. So Indy's gonna do another Back in Time. This is the Lanayru pillar in Back in Time. Technically he can do this in non-Back in Time, but because he's like quite far from Skyloft, he kind of like you might as well. So this is pretty similar to the Elden pillar RBM with some differences, like so like that was pretty much saying bonk the tree with file 2 and pick up the rupee. It's going to bit save file 1 at the lower academy statue because that's closer to the Lanayru pillar than the upper academy, or just any other statue for that matter. So then he's going to select file 1 and then he's going to select he's going to examine the bird statue with file 3 and then cancel, that's what I mean, basically. Yeah. So again, this pillar base is because the file 3 has the flag of bonk. File 3 has the flag of those boards broken in Skyview. So now here's the basically Lanayru pillar being placed in Back in Time. Again, there's nothing you can't do that. You can definitely do this in normal gameplay, but as like you're quite far away from Skyloft, it's just faster to do this. So then again, you want to start the file at a pretty precise part. It's not like that hard, but still. It's not hard, but it's not easy basically. And if you did it correctly, yep, he sees a kind of yellow beam of light, which is the Lanayru pillar. Also bonk, but on a bigger scale because it was his bird. Okay, so now he's gonna go to Lanayru. So Skyward and Elden we've like mostly done casually, or the same how you'd normally do casually, with like a few minor skips here and there. Lanayru, you are not going to see whatsoever in this run, so sorry to everyone who actually liked Lanayru, including myself, because we completely skipped Lanayru, with the exception of getting the harp, which is like 5 minutes in Lanayru, which is sad. Okay, so now we're enter Lanayru. We're gonna do one RBM here, which is meeting Betrow, and what that'll do is that will set the it'll set the flag in file 1 that will make the game think that we've already examined the Temple of Time statue, so we can essentially just walk to like the end of Lanayru mining facility and get the harp, and that's all we do in Lanayru. So Indy's gonna die basically, and then he's gonna continue and reset the console. Again, there are two ways of doing it. You can use the home button. You can use the home menu, or you can use the button on the console, which is often faster, but whatever. So first things first, Indy needs to open the kind of shed in order to get to Betrow in the first place. So what he's going to do is he's going to examine the statue of file 3, and then excuse me. Then he's going to cancel the file. And he's going to kind of like run down to the shed, basically. As he does the... He's being very careful with this camera here, because if you're not careful, fire will appear and completely mess up your completely mess this up, and so you have to do it all again. So then he basically enters this with file 1. At this point, it doesn't really matter which file you enter it, but just any will do, really. So now he's beating Betrow. Yeah, very scary, I know. So Chimera Chimera's not too behind. He's about like 5. I want to say 5 minutes behind. Actually, definitely not 5 minutes behind. That's like he's about like 3-ish. Chimera's quite close on Indy's tail. So yeah. But now we see kind of how painstakingly slow English text is for Indy. So in Japanese, this would be much faster, but as he's in English, this text is really, really slow, basically. So this does kind of give Chimera a small advantage. How much time does Chimera have left to gain? I don't know how much he has left to gain, but I know that in general, Japanese saves about 8 to 9 minutes over English. So, if I had to guess, I'd say he has to gain about 3 minutes from this point onwards. But in general, it saves about 8 to 9, and that 3 minutes is just a guess. I don't actually know. Like, kind of just a rough estimate. So anyway, so on Indy's screen, you saw him at the end of at the last cutscene. He started the file, which kind of sets the betrow quest in motion on file 1. That will also be useful for future back-in times, but he then committed the flag to memory by revealing hidden rupee. And if he did it all correctly, he'll first of all exit Lanayru, and then kind of re-enter it again. And if he did it correctly, there should be a excuse me. There should be a statue which he's never seen before that he can just walk to, and this statue is the same statue that is like right outside the exit to the Lanayru mining facility. So all he has to do, and it's the top left statue where he's like never gone. Yeah, 10th of time statue. So all he has to do now is enter the exit of Lanayru mining facility. Exits the Lanayru mining facility and then get the harp, and that is that is all of the Lanayru you see in the run. Like Lanayru is like really just completely obsolete in any percent now, and that's the harp basically, and that's all of Lanayru you'll see in 80%, which is sad, because well, it's sad if you like Lanayru, which is something that I like, but yeah. Okay, so Indy kind of I'm assuming he tried to get a cutscene skip. He didn't, and now he's gonna reset and die another way. I think that's slightly quicker. I don't know 100%, but whatever. So now Indy's kind of halfway through the game. That the harp basically signifies halfway through the game. So now he's gonna basically die to this guy. And yeah, so Chimera is just doing the betrow RBM, and Indy just is doing this. I believe so. Chimera is doing the I believe the fastest route. So I think he's doing the kind of faster one. I don't exactly know what Indy's doing right now, 100%. I think he's doing the fastest non-Japanese route, which is where you do 7x04 around about now. But first he's going to, yeah, it does look like it. So he's going to, can like activate Farron bit. So basically what he's going to do, he's going to do the Ballad of the Goddess skip RBM, which essentially skips having to learn Ballad of the Goddess, and just raises the gate time anyway. So they're kind of like two different routes here, and at this point, I think it's going to look like that. I mean, actually, it would look like I think like Chimera would be further in front than he actually is, because Indy has to but Indy's doing 2 RBMs now that Chimera will have to do later, basically. So it may look like Chimera might be in front, but I think it won't really be obvious who's in front until the end from here, basically. So here's Farron back in time. Yep, that's the thing. For those of you who joined us late, the reason why it takes him to Farron and not Eldin is because the game thinks that was the first time he's been to like the surface, so it naturally takes you to Farron anyway. Okay, so now he's gonna like jump up here and he's going to select file 1 and file. Okay, this is normal. He's gonna like enter this loading zone, and it's very important that he doesn't press like A to start at all. So then he talks to Groose basically here. Also, Wii Motion Plus menu, because why not? He doesn't have to be like this overprotective. Like during the Groose cutscene, you can actually press start, but yeah, I guess this works as well. Basically, what will happen is the Groose, this Groose cutscene will kind of put a flag in back in time, and Indy doesn't want to lose that flag, so he's being very careful with his like file right now. And the reason why he's on the Wii PlayStation, he's on the Wii Motion Plus menu, and not just continuing on the splash screen, because if you stay on the splash screen for too long, a cutscene will stop playing and that completely ruins back in time. So now he basically presses A to start quickly, so he gets to file select. He selects file 2, he jumps up onto the pedestal, and quickly selects file 1, then starts it as the text box finishes, and then the gate of time is raised. So yeah, so that's the first one that he does. So now, again, it will look like Chimera is catching up, but at this point Chimera is doing a different route, so it won't exactly be clear who's winning at this point. So Indy's going to do another bit. For now, I'll stick to what Indy's doing. Actually, how am I going to like transition from Indy to Chimera? Actually, yeah, it's going to be difficult. Okay, I'll focus on what Chimera is doing right now. Indy's going to do what's known as 7x04, which is very confusing. And I'm not going to say what he's doing right now because I'll mostly say what Chimera is doing. I'll talk about what 7x04, what like Indy's doing right now when Chimera gets to it, which will be at the end of the game. But for now, I'll just focus on what like Chimera's doing right now. Just to make the kind of transition from Indy to Chimera like smooth as possible. Okay, so what Chimera is doing right now is he's essentially getting the Water Dragon scale by entering the Silent Realm. The reason, this is kind of like the whole reason why we like got the song in the first place, was to like be able to enter the Silent Realm, or at least kind of change the layer of the Farron that this would appear basically. Okay, so I believe Chimera's going to attempt harp cancel. I don't really see why he wouldn't, but anyway. So basically, harp cancel, how it works is you press B on the frame that's the kind of the pedals on the ground complete, and that essentially finishes Fi singing. He's having a bit of trouble with the harp, but we'll see if he gets it. Okay, no, he doesn't. Normally, what you want to do is you want to press B. Like just as that last pedal's going down, and that will skip this cutscene that Chimera's watching right now. And that saves about 30 seconds if you get it. If you're too early, you will lose 30 seconds. If you're too late, you have to watch the cutscene. And if like you're just on time, it saves 30 seconds basically. So not a huge big deal, but it can kind of it can in some ways mean the difference between a good run and a bad run if you're like that optimized. But hardly anyone's that optimized, so yeah. Okay, So currently Chimera is in the Silent Realm. The Silent Realms are pretty cool in this game. They function in a very similar way to how the how the Twilight Realms worked in Twilight Princess in that game. And they're basically, you have to kind of go around the familiar landscape of like Farron and Eldin in the run, and collect the tears. How it essentially works is, okay, well, Fires explain that much. How it works is, if you stand outside the circle, the guardians will try and kill you. But then as soon as you grab a tear, they'll kind of go back to sleep and shit. So then, and the guardians will reawake if either one of three things happen. If 90 seconds runs out in between collecting a tear, I mean. If you going through waking water, or if you get spotted by a watcher. If you do either of those three things, the guardians will wake up. And you have like very little health in the Silent Realm. So the guardians can just essentially, like if the guardians get one hit on you, you are essentially dead. And you have to restart the entire trial again. So it's not very nice having to die in the trial. Basically. So just don't die and then you're good. So Indy's just opening the trial. Again, I think Indy is still ahead because of the different routes that the runners are taking, but it's kind of hard to say. It's basically, it's quite hard to say from at this point. Okay, so again, there isn't really much to kind of say right now, except both runners are reasonably close right now. Like, this has been a pretty close race, at least until now. But as this Skyward Sword, anything can happen. Like, one wrong slip and it's like, you just lose about, like, a couple minutes. So, yeah. Okay, so I believe Chimera is going for no life fruits. So basically, those like you've probably seen it, but these like white objects, like white circles, or white what's the thing? I've forgotten what shape is, but like these white spheres. That's what spheres are. These white spheres on the ground. If you collect them, they like one to the left and right now. If you collect them, they start a cutscene. And in a speedrun, you often want to not pick them up because like it saves 4 seconds. But because they refill your stamina, some people do at a very specific time. But it's like at this point, it's like 4 seconds to it's like 4 seconds faster to just ignore them. It used to be quicker just to get them, like pick up the life fruits, but because you used to be able to, you used to have to go through all 4, four Silent Realms. Now you just have to do 2, and now it's not quicker. You just so you just don't run to them. So now we got so now we have the Water Dragon Scale. This is useful for only getting an ancient system. That's it. Basically. So Chimera's just finished with that. Indy's pretty much just doing that again. He is on the English version, which will continue to be a disadvantage for the rest of the run, pretty much. So yeah. So what Chimera's basically doing right now is he's going to save and he's going to basically kill himself. So basically what he has to do now is he has to get some he has to open the Eldin trial. And in order to do that, you need to get a 5. You have to get a 5 gratitude crystal reward from Patro back in time. And in order to do that, you need 5 gratitude crystals on your file. And this RBM is what essentially puts 5 gratitude crystals onto his file. So first we're going to copy, Chimera is going to copy file 1 to file 3. This is going to be useful for the specific route he's doing. Yep. So he's going to save file 1, and during the save he's going to select file 2. And then he's going to enter the, kind of this house right here. It doesn't exactly matter which file he does. He did file 1, but it doesn't matter. So he's going to sleep today. Then he's going to get file 1. Yeah, it's either file 1 or file 3 that really matters. Talk to this person. I'm kind of on the last kind of wah. On that last one you want to start the file, and then you should have the gratitude crystals. And these will be useful for the 5 gratitude crystal rewards from Batro RBM that you do to open the Elden Trial. And being able to open the Elden Trial early essentially skips all of the second visit to Lanayru. So Lanayru is essentially just kind of another reason why we don't have to go to Lanayru. Okay, so now he's going to go to the, I believe it's called the Volcano Ascent, or something along those lines. I don't really quite know what it's called. I run this game in Japanese, so I don't really remember what anything's called. So he's going to save, and then he's going to kill himself, so he's going to activate back time again. This could be another reverse bit magic. This is going to be the gratitude crystal reward from Batro RBM. So, yeah. Basically. So he's going to, Chimera's going to start, and he's going to continue and reset the console. He, unlike Indy, he presses the button on his console, which is slightly faster, and preferably the thing you'd want to do. Okay, so now he's going to select file 1 and bonk to this tree. Optionally, you'd like do it in a very specific way that you'd minimize the lag, but that's pretty difficult. Just as long as you bonk into the tree of file 1, you're fine. He's going to try and collect this rupee. Try to do it in a specific way to kind of avoid the cutscene, but that's difficult. Okay, the whole point of collecting that rupee was to come spawn in the water dragon scale, but he didn't really seem to use that at all, so oof. So he's going to select file 1, and then he's going to essentially walk into Batro's house with file 1 selected. This time it doesn't matter. Then he's going to select file 1 and talk to Batro, get his reward, and on the I believe on the second text box, yeah, first text box and then second text box, start the file. You can see that Indy's like actually checking to make sure that he has the 5 gratitude crystals. So now Chimera's done got that flag onto file 1. He just needs to kind of commit the flag to memory. So what he's going to die, and hopefully the Elden Trial should be here, and it is nice. Okay, so the Elden Trial is significantly harder than the Farron Trial, mainly because it's meant to be the third one you encounter, not the not necessarily the like the second one. And also there are a lot of life fruits, and this is kind of what makes trying to get this life fruitless like really difficult, because like the life fruits are like really inconveniently placed if you want to avoid them. So naturally you'll just like be bound to be running into them. But anyway. But again, it kind of serves the same purpose as the first one, just kind of run around, collect all the tears. The time limit isn't really an issue. this is kind of a thing that exists. So what I think what Indy's doing right now is he's doing the I believe he's doing what was he doing? I'm just trying to work what he's doing. He's doing the I think he's doing the Betro RBM, but he's doing the Betro RBM. That's like the reward for the 5 graduates. So it may not look like he's that far behind, but again, Indy's doing a different route to Chimera, so they're both at like different. I think Indy's still slightly ahead, but I don't know. And I say that because Chimera still has to do 2 RBMs, which Indy's already done. And the reason why Indy's already done them is because in English that route is slightly doing them sooner is slightly faster because you skip more text. And in English, you basically just want to skip as much text as possible. So again, there isn't really much I can say. If anyone's got any questions about this at all in the chat, then you can just ask them and I'll try and answer them. Basically. We don't know, it's like not much to say here, it's just like running around. Yep. Okay, so Chimera did accidentally roll into that life route. He, I believe he tried to do life fruitless, but you know, it's like because of just how inconveniently they're placed around Elden, you're like naturally gonna bump into one if you're not careful. Okay, so Indy's just starting this trial, and Chimera's about like 70% done with it. He's still got to pick up a handful of tears, but yeah. And also because he collected the life through, at this point he can just kind of just walk into them as he wants. So he doesn't have to try and avoid them. I believe Indy could also just walk into them as well, because he didn't even try to avoid them at all. So because he collected the one in Farron, which would be like optimal. Yeah, again, there isn't much I can say about this. Just this is the thing. Both runners are currently at pretty much the same stage in the run. Again, this is a pretty close run. Even with the route differences, like I'd still say that both these runs are fairly close. But I do think Indy is slightly ahead. Once you factor in the route differences. But I mean, for now at least I'll be commentating on Chimera's stream because he appears to be ahead. Even though he likely isn't, but I don't know. So yeah, Chimera just got to the last tier. It's kind of a long trial actually, I just realised, like, Elden one's pretty long. So the reward for this is, okay, the reward for the Aaron one was the scale, and the reason why we needed that was to enter the ancient system, which is required to complete 80%. This is the Fire Shield earrings, and the only reason why we need these is to simply remove a fire trigger to enter Volcano Summit. And because this fire trigger is really deep, we haven't found a way yet to kind of skip it, and there isn't really in Skyward Sword there isn't really a way to jump very far, so you can't exactly like just jump over it. And because collision's really good, you can't just go out of bounds. This is like really dumb. So yeah. Chimera is just making his way to the volcano summit, basically. Optionally, you damage down to 2 hearts by now, but I mean, I guess you can choose these choose if you need to, or just damage here. I don't know. There's a Chimera. I don't know what he's going to do first, but he's going to do one of 2 RBMs. He's either going to do the Sheikah Stone RBM or the Lumpy Pumpkin Dive, basically. Okay, it looks like he's going to do the Sheikah Stone RBM one first. So he's going to select file 2 and bong into that tree. Or just any tree, doesn't really matter which one. Then he's going to bit save file 3. He bit save file 3 because he's on the safe route. If he's on the fast route, then you do bit save file 2, but yeah. So then select file 1 and start at a specific point, run into a cutscene. I don't know if that worked, but yeah, I think it did. And then you set the specific flag to file 1. And in order to commit the flag to memory, you just have to walk in and walk out the outdoor area of that. Because now he saves, and then what you do next is the Lumpy Pumpkin Dive. This is really hard for a lot of new runners, but I think for like a lot of like kind of experienced runners, it's not that difficult. So I don't really think that either of these runners will have any big challenge with that. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, so what Chimera is going to do is going to bit save file 2, which will spawn in his loft ring, and then he's essentially going to dive off Skyloft, and then call his bird, and then just as it's fading out to the kind of loading screen, select file 2, which will basically allow the tutorial layer of Skyloft to work, so Sky doesn't crash, basically. Also, Chimera is not advancing the text. On Japanese, on just any language, you can advance the text if you take off from that specific. I want to say dock, but that's not the word. Like, if you take off from that specific area, you can always advance the text. But anyway.
Okay, so.
So now I'm just going to select file 3. This is just useful to make sure that Farron bit doesn't crash. Okay, so now he's here. So now he's going to go back to the sky again with file 2. And file 2 again is just to put the sky in the tutorial layer so it doesn't crash. So now here comes the kind of the hard part. you might be able to make out. I mean, it might be difficult for the stream resolution. You might be able to make out like kind of a faint like brown part, like kind of slightly shaped lumpy pumpkin island in the background. That's kind of where you want to fly to. So he's got what Chimera is going to do. He's going to fly as high as possible, and then you're going to skydive and hope they skydiving in the right position. Because of like how far away he's going, you're mostly skydiving blind in this. So yeah, he's going to do this. Ultimately, you would go to the fire splash screen, but so you can like get the best visibility. But the problem with splash screen is that if you stay on it for too long, cutscene will start. So yeah. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think indykenobi's just trying this as well. So both the runners are roughly the same part, or maybe I don't know if indykenobi is just doing this before he did the Stone one, but I don't know. So yeah, Chimera had no problem with that, basically. But the problem with that one is that you're kind of diving blind, so yeah, you do have to be quite careful. So here he's going to exit with R1. This is to make sure that the gratitude crystal actually spawns. Yeah, Indy doesn't have any problem with the thing either, so he's got it quite nicely done. So then he's gonna start for R1, and then walk into this gratitude crystal, which worked because you heard the noise like the ding. And then he's going to commit that by going outside and bonking into the waterfall, revealing a fairy. Don't forget that's like my water noises because of hydration. Speaking of water, Chimera is also going to get some water because, yeah, yeah. No, we need water to like hydrate some frogs as well. In order to make it into Fire Sanctuary. So you kind of see the frog behind this frog right now is hydrated. That's because of the RBM that we set. And it was pretty hard to see, but the flames guarding the fire sanctuary were down because of the lumpy pumpkin RBM we did, basically. Also, if you do the lumpy pumpkin RBM twice, it's very important that you don't miss this. Otherwise, you have to do the lumpy pumpkin dive again, and that's bad. But yeah, the frames are down. So normally, what the game will want you to do, want you to like get Scrapper and get the water basin from the water dragon and yada 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 side quests, dumb stuff. But thanks to the power of reverse bit magic, we can just walk straight into Fire Sanctuary. And just a bit of damaging down, just to make it more convenient. Because Fire Sanctuary is also known as RBM Sanctuary because we will be doing. Okay, well, because the only thing in this dungeon is just reverse bit magic. That's it, basically. Okay, so right now, I believe the Chimera will be doing 3 RBMs out of the 4 that you'll be doing in total. How this is going to work is Chimera's going to do 3 RBMs. Then he's going to do a reverse bit warp into Ancient Cistern, complete Ancient Cistern, then come back to Fire Sanctuary and do the last RBM, and then finish off Fire Sanctuary. So, and these you can do in any order. Chimera's doing the Gratitude Crystal one first, and it doesn't really matter which order you do it in. Just any order will do, basically. It's like different people have like there isn't really a kind of quickest order in which to do anything because you have to do everything anyway. I mean, and like some people have like a preferred order they do it. I think Chimera looks like he prefers to do the Gratitude Crystal one first, and if you're like talking about like someone like me, I prefer to do it last. But like I prefer to do the Upper Academy RBM first. It's like really just kind of I guess personal preference. It doesn't really matter, just as long as you do the 3 RBMs, then it's fine. Okay, so the second one, which I don't actually know what the second one Chimera is going to do. I don't know if he's going to do the lower academy RBM or the upper academy. No, he's going to do one of them. Okay, it looks like he's going to do the upper academy one. I believe. Yeah, he's going to do the upper academy. So how the upper academy works is basically he bonks file 2, which opens the doors here. Well, they're closed, but you have to select file 2 to open them. So you can start file 1 and run into the sanctuary, run into the bird statue and essentially examine it, and that will be enough for the RBM to work, basically. And here you see indykenobi just entering Fire Sanctuary. So Indy's pretty hot on Chimera's tail, but if you factor in the route differences, I think Indy is still slightly ahead. But I don't know at this point. It's kind of this is a very close race, and this could really go either way from now on. Okay, so Chimera's going to do the third one, third RBM that you do in Fire Sanctuary. This is, I believe, this one can only really be the lower academy one, because you can't exactly be doing much else. Yeah. So he's going to bonk file 2, or you can bonk file 1. It really doesn't matter which one you bonk, just any, to be honest. Start file 1. Examine the bird statue, and also committing them. I didn't really talk about that, but you could commit these by either shooting the rupees out of the owl's eyes, like statues out of owl's eyes, or you can by shooting the lily, like kind of like the water pods, to kind of get the cutscene. And again, you can kind of do that in any order you want. Make sure that the third time you like dig up that hole, so you can reveal the fairy, and the fairy will be useful for the reverse bit warp. So basically, Chimera's going to do this like really weird setup thing, which puts him just in the right coordinates for this to be possible. So then he's going to kill himself, and then he's going to do probably the longest RBM. I don't know if it's the longest, but this is a very long RBM. It takes about 4 minutes to do. Yeah. So basically, what he's going to do is he's first of all going to activate Farron back in time. This is achieved in like any of the same way, just by bit saving file 2 and then selecting file 2 as the as you're entering the sky. So indykenobi is just doing the RBMs, and again he chose to do the to reveal the rupee on the left bird statue, which is a thing you could do. Again, it's like as long as you do the RBMs and you commit them, it doesn't really matter which order you do them in. Just to remember that you have to make sure that you got the fairy by the end of the third one. Otherwise, you essentially die after this reverse bit warp. So, yeah. Okay, so then Chimera selects file 3, and that's just essentially make sure that Farron bit doesn't crash. Oh, okay, yeah, these deku rubbers can be a little bit of a challenge. Like they're still annoying even in back in time. So they select file 2, it's lower down this log, and select file 3. You can select either file 3 or file 2. It doesn't matter. Just either one of those will work. And so basically, at this point, all that Chimera is really focused on is making sure that he gets to your ancient system. So then you make sure he enters kind of the general Farron woods with file 1, which will put Farron in the correct layer. Basically. So he's going to select file 1 to put down this log, and then select file 2 immediately, so that so that he doesn't like enter a cutscene which will crash the game. So he's at Lake Floria. So then what Chimera is going to do is he's going to reveal a hidden Kirby, and then kind of select it with file 1, which will spawn in the Water Dragon scale. And this is, I just remember, just want to like keep in mind, this is the only reason we need to get the Water Dragon scale. Just this. So then he starts file 1. That might have been a little bit too early, but I don't know. No, that's fine. And because his coordinates are fine, he gets straight into there, basically. Yeah, that can be a little bit of a scary RBM, because there's a lot that can go wrong, like the game can crash, like the coordinates can be slightly out, so you have to do the whole thing again. Sometimes mess up the timing, so you just the thing starts in Fire Sanctuary anyway. It's really kind of scary, so it's good that Chimera got that first try. And I think Indy's just doing that as well. So we'll see if he gets the first try or not. Because we entered this from the basement, we can just easily get the boss key. And now we've got the boss key. This statue is going to be a little bit wrong. Like it's going to be a stage down than what it's meant to be, because you're not meant to come in from this way. We kind of we went in this dungeon through the back door, like the quote unquote back door, but yeah. So what Chimera's going to do now is the high flip. It's basically where you side hop and then you backflip, basically, and in doing so, you backflip higher than normal, and then you're able to get other places like that. It can be a little bit challenging for new runners, but it's not too difficult. Then you place the bomb, which is like to kind of kill off a few of those curse bokoblins, so we won't have to deal with as many whilst climbing up this route. Okay, it looks like Indy's having a little bit of trouble with Aegis' Nabium, and he's having a little bit of trouble with the Aegis' Nabium, and he sadly crashes the game. So that's going to be quite a huge time off in Indy's part. So just F in the chat for Indy, because yeah, that I don't want to say that might have cost him the race, but that is a pretty big time loss. Okay. So now, Chimera's going to try and jump into these like lily pads to kind of avoid, like kind of avoid the wires flipping over. And also this lock here right here is the same every time. So nice motion control. Yeah, he got it finally. Yeah. No, like yeah. Yeah, crashing there for Indy's quite bad, so yeah. I should probably say like what he's actually doing there right now. So what Chimera is actually doing is he's essentially trying to get a small key in order to get he's getting a small key so he can get the whip, and he needs the whip in order to complete the dungeon. And that is really the only requirement of the whip in the 80% run, is to complete this dungeon. And the only reason why we complete this dungeon in the first place is so that we don't crash the Imprison 2 fight. Oh nice, okay. Kind of accidentally jumped at that at a weird angle, so Chimera did anyway, so so it's not that big of a time loss, it's like just mild inconvenience. Indy appears to be, I don't know if he's doing the Ancient System RBW, but I don't know if he knows this, but he doesn't actually have the coordinates from Fire Sanctuary properly. So if he attempts it, then he's probably screwed, because his coordinates will be wrong. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Because the statues are a little bit wrong, this cutscene looks weird, so it's just nice age-resistant ceiling, basically. Right, so now Chimera essentially makes sure that he drops down a layer without taking damage, and the reason why you want to be on 4 hearts at this point is so that Coloctos, so you can make sure that Coloctos isn't like a slow fight. Because you need like an extra 2 hearts, you need to basically damage yourself in Coloctos. Basically. Okay, so now I did kind of say at the beginning of the run, or beginning of the first boss key, that like the boss keys will get harder. This like I think at this point the boss keys are like still moderately pretty easy. Like you can probably just figure them out by looking at them, but they're more of a challenge than just a H. So that's pretty. I think it's pretty cool how the boss keys are like a puzzle in their own right. Anyway, so now we have the whip. We can essentially raise the statue by doing this. And then, yeah, Coloctos. Okay, it does look like Indy is going for the Aegis RBW. I don't think he has the correct coordinates, so this might be bad. But we'll see, I don't know for certain. Oh, when he accidentally starts file 1. That's bad. Again, F for Indy because I think he's starting to kind of lose a lot of time. But, like, I don't want to say anything just yet, because if anything I learned about Skyward Sword is actually very unpredictable. What happened? Indy accidentally started file 1 because this is a very unpredictable game. But if Indy wants to have a chance of making it to the next round, he is going to have to really like you have to really hope that he has to basically really make sure that or really hope rather that Chimera screws up. He has to essentially play perfectly from now on. And that's just like, yeah, and even if he does play perfectly, he might not be able to win. I mean, I don't know, we'll see. But again, with this game, if you make one wrong move at the wrong time, you lose minutes. Basically. Okay, so now Coloctos, I haven't really spoken about him whatsoever. The first phase is essentially just what you saw. Chimera used bombs to like do enough damage. This is why you wanted to make sure you had 4 hearts, so you'd be able to blow up the bombs. So the second phase is you grow his legs and has swords. What the game wants you to do is it wants you to kind of like rip his cage open. Yeah, Indy says sad. Yeah, I agree. This is sad. You can so what the game kind of wants you to do is the game wants you to attack his like heart with the sword, but you can just do Scar Strikes and he's dead immediately. So yeah, that was Clock Toast. And just on that, Indy is still going towards the Angel System with his third attempt at the reverse split warp. Like, I don't even know if this will work because Indy doesn't appear to have the right coordinates. But I don't know. I mean, the coordinates might work. I don't know. Okay, so Chimera is now done with Angel System. And is now going to finish Fire Sanctuary, and then he's going to kill the imprisoned and finish the game, basically. Okay, come on, Indy. Don't accidentally start any files, please, and don't crash the game. Okay. I'll come look at Indy's screen because I'm like seeing if it'll actually work or not. Because I'm genuinely curious if it'll work. Okay, no, yeah, the coordinates do actually work, but like, actually, no, of course they work because he, yeah, okay, and also indykenobi does have the NTSC 1.0 version, so he can do system click, which is, I'm assuming, what he's going to do right now. Yep, and that's exactly what he does, yeah, system click. So, this is an NTSC 1.0 specific version, or specific glitch. It's impossible on the Japanese version or anything else. And basically, he completely skips the, what's it called? Oh no. Okay, basically he went through the ground, and now he's got the whip. And because of that, he can essentially, I believe, he can pretty much finish the dungeon now. Actually, no, he still needs the boss key, yeah. Yeah, so he still needs the boss key, but still. Okay, so now, just going back to Chimera. I did mention he only did like 3 RBMs out of 4 in Fire Sanctuary. So now he's doing the 4th one. The 4th one is the Bizarre Statue RBM, which is essentially where you start file 1. And so yeah, you start file 1, and then you check the Bizarre Statue. Yeah, start file 1. Yeah, and then check it, yeah. And so hopefully with all of that, you should be able to get the boss key. And also to commit this, it needs to break a pot, so that's exactly what it does here. Now this has a fairy in it, and fairy will be incredibly useful for what's it called? Fairy's for Horde, there we go, that's it, yeah. Because Horde without a fairy is incredibly difficult. Because now Chimera has the boss key. And, yeah. And again, indykenobi is just casually going for the ceiling, because why not? Okay, and also, this, in my opinion, is probably the hardest boss key because, like, just from looking at it, it's pretty difficult to kind of figure out what it is. I mean, if you're a speedrunner, you of course know what it is, but yeah. Okay, so Indy looks like he's just about to go to Clockroach, and Chimera is just fighting Gurren 2. Now, Gurren 2 is, with the exception of Extended Blow, Gurren 2 is probably the most RNG part of this run. And again, that is taking Extended Blow out of the equation. Extended Blow is clearly the most RNG part of the run. But this is like... kind of the big thing. Hang on one second, my headset died, so let me just keep that. One sec. Okay. I've got audio, but I don't have Discord working. Okay, you guys can definitely better hear me, but I don't know if I better hear other people. Okay. So I'll just fix Discord, but in the meantime I'll talk about Gurren 2. Now Gurren 2 is, he can either do darts or like, he can either attack you or he can like, you can be able to attack him. You'd want him to do ground pounds or you want to be able to attack him so you can get as many hits in as possible. You don't want darts because then you won't be able to attack him, and most of the time, and then Chimera loses his fairy to Gurren 2. Now this makes Horde incredibly difficult unless he gets the hit, unless he gets the fairy in Steel Temple, but I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, the RNG in this isn't really that random. At most, you'll lose about 20 seconds if you're really unlucky. I mean, if you're really unlucky, you'll lose a lot of time. But that's like if you're really unlucky. Let me just fix Discord one sec. Okay, I fixed Discord, it's nice. Okay, so now this heart container we will pick up because it is pretty reckless to do it without heart container. Just a little bit. Okay, so now that is Fire Sanctuary done with. So now all Chimera has to do is he does have to do the 2 RBMs that indykenobi did. So now we will kind of close up the gap again. But yeah. So we have to do 2 more RBMs, Imprison 2, and then pretty much the end of the game. Okay, so I believe Chimera is doing the what's it called? I've actually forgotten what it's called now. I believe it's the Gate of Time RBM. Because he's it's the same as what indykenobi did with the Bad or the Goddess skip, but it's like, okay, I guess for simplistic reason I'll just put the Bad or the Goddess skip. Why not? Okay, so first of all, we need to activate Farron back in time. So he's going to bit save file 2, which gets the Loftwing in, and just as it fades into the sky, he's going to select file 2, like that, which prevents it from crashing. Also, just another note: Indy is now done with Age of Citizen, and he's going to now do Fire Sanctuary. Indy doesn't have to do these RBMs; he can just RBM himself into the Imprison 2 fight. So, yeah. But I think even with that advantage right now, I still think Indy is a good way behind, I think. So I think this would be very hard for Indy to pull back in his favor. I mean, I don't know. Anything's possible with Skyward Sword, especially because like this race has been pretty close, like most of the time. It was like really just until the age of just an RBW that it kind of went a little bit out of control. So now we're in Skyloft. Not we're in Farron bit. And Chimera is still taking damage from the Doku Brothers. 2 hearts. Oh no. If he takes damage from these guys, that'd be really bad. Okay, no, he's actually going out of his way to kill it. Yeah, makes sense. Yep, there you go. Yeah, makes sense. So then he now this is kind of a bit of a confusing bit. So you open this up with file 3. Make sure that you Z target, otherwise the game crashes for some unknown reason. So similar thing to kind of how it worked with Indy. Select the file select menu just shortly after walking in. Select file 2, walk onto the pedestal, select file 1 quickly, and then start the finish the cutscene and start the file, basically. Yeah, and Chimera is actually getting the ferry, which makes sense because he lost his ferry, but yeah. Okay, so now Chimera is going to save and reset. Most of the time you want to save and quit, but in this sole instance you want to save and reset. Because either way you end up on the splash screen. And like the only advantage to saving and quitting, the only reason why it's faster is because you end up on the specific file that you saved and quitted from. In this instance you don't, you just end up on the splash screen. But yeah. Okay, so now Chimera is doing 7x04, or Song with a Hero skip. Indy's already done this, and when he did this, I was kind of like, oh, well, I'll just wait for Chimera to do it. So now Chimera is doing it, and this is probably the most confusing back in time, or confusing RBM this game has. So if you can understand this, you can probably understand how this game really works. So bonk file 2. Bonk the true file 2, I mean, which opens the doors. Then he's going to examine the Upper Academy statue with file 1. And then bit save file 2. So the bit save file 2 is just a spawn lock again. The examining the statue of file 1 is to put another bit 7x02 in place, so 7x04 is possible, basically. So then same thing applies until you get to Farron. Just select file 2 just as it's fading out, so it doesn't crash, and just go to Farron basically. And so Indy, just on another note, Indy is making his way into the Hero Him 2 fight. And yeah, just waiting for Chimera to just get into Farron. Okay, so now Chimera is now in Farron bit. So what it wants to do is wants to go behind the temple with file 2. So not really much interesting. It looks like indykenobi is having a little bit of bad RNG from the Hero Him 2 fight. Like he's getting a lot of darts, which is not bad, which is not good. Okay, usually you want to select file 2. I guess file 3 wouldn't matter too much, but whatever. So that is where it gets confusing. So select the statue with file 3, save and quit of file 1, go to the Wii Motion Plus menu, or no, I don't really think about it, and go to the splash screen at least, and then cancel. And if you've done all that correctly, in theory, everything should be set up for 7x04 to work. So then you enter firing with file 2. And make sure it's file 2, otherwise it won't work. And then you start the file, and then you hold 2 and Z, and that should start the cutscene. And looking at Chimera's screen, it looked like it should have worked. And with this, you don't actually have to commit anything, but yeah. So in theory, it should have worked. And what that specific 704 does is that specific flag in memory opens the door to the Horde fight. Pretty much as soon as you get into the past. And what that skips is the entire Song of the Hero quest, Levias, and the entire Skykeep dungeon, and probably more actually. Well, not even more. Actually, that's probably about it actually. And that saves about 75 minutes of gameplay from a speedrun standpoint. And it's basically one of the main reasons why this game is 2 hours and not 5 hours. So anyway, so now Chimera is now going to be facing Imprisoned 2. Yes, the second one. The first one we skipped, but this is the second one. Or second one you're meant to fight, which is why it's called Imprisoned 2. You're meant to fight him a total of 3 times, but in an 8% speedrun, you skip the first and third. You skip the first because you do the Thunderhead. You skip the third because of Song of the Hero skip. So Imprisoned 2 is a very hard boss fight. There's a very fine line between failure and success, and the bar for that is very difficult. Like, it's very high. So you have to basically make sure that you're really good at just Imprisoned 2. So yeah, it is faster to damage down here, but like if you really want to do safety, you can just do a side hop. So here, what Chimera is going to do is going to cut down these fingers, which is going to slow him, and so he can take this early air vent. So he's going to try and get on his head, and he's going to do a pretty precise jump slash. Ooh, when he fails and getting it on his head. Okay. Now I think he's going to have to wait until, or Chimera's going to have to wait until the Imprisoned starts, like kind of start to climb up. Because if he tries now, it's going to be very risky at least. Yeah. Don't know if Link actually jumped off yet. Or jumped off yet. He might have. Now what the game will want you to use, the game will want you to use the Cruisinator. But, okay, yeah, he did jump off. But we don't necessarily need the Cruisinator for this, we just need to kind of cut down his fingers. So, yeah. We want to try and avoid using the Cruisinator because of how much text, but there are some instances where using the Cruisinator is faster, but hopefully we won't get that. Okay, so now again he's going to do a quite precise jump slash. But he gets it the first time. Basically the whole point of this is to make sure he's still in the air when he does it. So that the prisoners burn him off. The second one is often quite more difficult because you're often in a slightly more awkward position. You did it fine. indykenobi is just doing his interval at the end. Oh no! Okay, Chimera just couldn't like get that final flash, and now he's really. This is bad. Okay. This is actually quite a close race, actually. So indykenobi starts the file as I believe Bruce just exits the run, and if he did it right, the Imprisoned fight should start. Okay, yeah, it ended for him, for Chimera. So as the so basically, as the fight ends for Chimera, it begins for Indy. So it's if Indy has a really good Imprisoned 2, if he has a perfect Imprisoned 2, then he can potentially bring back this tournament regarding Chimera doesn't get a horde skip, but he's having quite a bit of trouble with Imprisoned 2, so eh. Okay, yep, that was quick, yep. Okay, so now we're just kind of sealing the imprisoned back in, which is kind of like the last thing you have to do. I don't think it's ever like a time limit. Like, they say you can have to like rush quickly, but like, I don't think there really is a penalty if you just do nothing. Anyway. So that's in prison 2, and indykenobi is just fighting in prison 2. Yeah, this is still pretty close though. Indy, just save us some time and just... Yeah, there we go. Just whack it. Okay, so, anyway, so now here's, Chimera is just kind of going to go back to the Seal Temple, and this is kind of just before the, this is kind of like the chillness before the storm that is Horde. And Horde is very difficult. Okay, it's not that hard with a fairy. Like, if you heal up, if you take the time to heal up, if you're really safe about it, it's not that difficult. But the less health you have, the significantly more challenging it becomes. So, yeah. Okay, indykenobi gets the second jump slash, so hopefully you can just kind of get the spike in his head and end it. Yeah, okay, nice. Indykenobi is not too far behind. I think if it is still physically possible for Indy to win this. It's just that Chimera does have to mess up Horde for it to happen. Like, but it's still possible. It is still technically possible. But this is still pretty close. It's not like miles out. It's still possible for both these runners to take it home. Okay, it looks like Chimera's gonna do the safety strat. He's gonna save. Not save. Sorry, he's gonna heal. Oh yeah. And then, because this door's open, he can basically go to the Horde fight. And now this, I just want to restate, the only reason why this door's open is because 7x04, and that essentially skips the final third of the game and 75 minutes of gameplay. Also, he skipped a soft lock cutscene, or a cutscene that would be soft lock, but because we're in hero mode, that is not soft lock. And that is why this is impossible in normal mode, because normal mode you can't skip cutscenes, and in normal mode, instead, you have to actually complete Skypeak. So here's the Horde. It's pretty difficult if you have like no health, but this is at least somewhat good. So they kind of like these challenges here, where it's kind of like him kind of stops you, and you have to kill a certain amount of enemies, like certain types of enemies. Keep going. That was a pretty difficult one. Now here is kind of this Horde skip, where essentially you have to try and like run up this guy's shield. So we'll see if he gets it. Okay, he looks like he doesn't get it because he didn't run up his shield, and that's a pretty common fault with Horde skip. That, like, a lot of the time you don't get it because you often run around his shield, and that's pretty difficult. So technically, Indy can still bring this home if Chimera just has a really slow Horde and Indy gets Horde skip. But I mean, I don't know yet. It's hard to tell, especially with English terms. Okay, so now there's this blue guy, which normally skips for Horde skip. This guy's pretty annoying. The general strat for this guy is to try and get him over the rails. But I mean, I guess like a lot of people, you don't know that sort. But like, it's not necessarily your main concern. Your main concern at this point is just kind of staying alive, because the fact that you don't get Horde skip makes it significantly difficult. Okay, so yeah, he got him fine. That blue guy does have a stupid amount of health, but he's not particularly. deal with in the right circumstances. Because now we're kind of where the Chimera will usually be in hold skip. So here we go. So now we've got these two or just skeleton boys. And these are, you'll probably notice that these are significantly easier to deal with than what they were in Fire Sanctuary. Okay, so Indy is just starting horde. Now there is a possibility that Indy can still take this home, but this is yeah. Okay, so Chimera dies, but he does have a fairy, so everything's okay for him at least. And as he's at the end, I don't imagine him losing too much health. But yeah, this is pretty close still, even with the crash that Indy had. Because this is kind of the end of Horde for Chimera. So here just comes one of these Skyward Sword spin attacks. Anyone trying to do damage with Horde, you would normally want to do Skyward Sword spin attacks. Although, I guess my advice for spin attacks is make sure you keep an eye on how much stamina you have. Because if you run out of stamina, you're pretty bad. Okay, Indy got Horde skip, so he's definitely narrowing the gap. I think at this point, it's pretty hard for him to win. I'm not saying impossible, but it's pretty hard for him at this point. So anyway, so on Chimera screen now we've got the 0 and 3. The first stage is going to be knocking him. Oh, what's good? Like knocking him off his kind of pedestal. This is going to be kind of like where the most kind of arrows is worst, because you're constantly making like this huge motion, and yeah, and you can lose calibration pretty quickly, and it's a nightmare without a shield. But you don't get a shield anyway, so you know. Yeah, Indy is basically caught up. Like, wow, this is really close actually. I haven't actually seen a race this close yet. So, I mean, I might be seeing too soon, because anything can happen. Okay, so now his Skyward stab. Okay, he did just kind of mess it up a little bit, so... Okay, this is like these old straps. Also, you wretched brat, I'm not going to do the actual voice because I'm bad at it. Indy can do it. So. Okay, so the third phase is essentially use the sword, which is, in my opinion, this is easier than the second one. And yeah, just Skyward strike and spin attack basically, as Chimera is doing. There's nothing much to say. Okay, so now we're on to Demise, and Demise is a very choreographed final boss. They're like, in my opinion, he's probably the best final boss in any Zelda game, and I'm just going to mostly let him speak for himself, so I'm just going to kind of shut up and yeah, enjoy the final moments, or hopefully the final moments of this run. And remember, Indy can still bring us back if Chimera dies here, so this is still pretty close. And GG to Chimera for finishing first place with a time of 2 hours, 32 minutes, and 51 seconds. GG. So, as Chimera wins, he will be moving to losers bracket round 4, face off Dish. And sadly, indykenobi has been eliminated from the 80% tournament 2020. I'm going to sort my headset stuff. GG to both the runners. And yeah. That was close. Indy's just entering Demise right now, so... yeah, that was the closest race I've ever seen, actually. I think probably the race I've seen closest to this probably was... I think Indy versus Fire, like the first thing. But yeah, so Chimera wins, and Indy is out of the tournament then. And GG to indykenobi for finishing with a time of 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 30 seconds. GG. If any of the runners would want to come in for an interview, that's a thing that can happen. If not, then yeah. Yeah, Indy was pretty close to making a comeback, but sadly it just wasn't enough. And that crash he had for yeah, GG. I'm just fixing my audio 1 sec. Okay. Yeah. Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hi, GG.
Thanks.
Right, okay. So yeah, that was quite close in the end, actually.
Maybe
got-
closer.
That was really close, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was like I think it was just the crash in the Ancient System RBW that kind of did it for you.
yeah.
Like,
If
even though you
there's
did
one
kind of
thing
make a
that's
quite
not
good
good-
comeback, it kind of sealed your fate a little bit.
The first one, I think, was... I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
The second one, well... That's a mistake.
yeah. I think Chimera was just in the waiting room, so yeah. Basically.
Okay, I just took over from Ricky, by the way. So,
Okay, yeah. If we could get Chimera in this commentary thing, that'd be quite cool.
what do you mean?
Chimera, the other runner, he's in the waiting room right now.
Oh, okay. You can actually pull him in as well, I believe. But
Can I? Okay, I can. Never mind. I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
hey, Chimera, GG,
GG's.
congratulations.
Thank you. I really didn't feel like I was gonna win that after what happened in Skyview, but you know, it's Skyward Sword. Stuff happens, you know.
Yeah, that was really close towards the end, especially. Like,
Yeah, I was sweating a little bit. I'll be honest.
yeah,
I was just trying to keep the pressure on.
yeah. But no, so yeah, Chimera goes into losers bracket round 4 to face off against Dish, and indykenobi is unfortunately eliminated from the tournament.
You mean free to do other categories?
I was about to say, Indy is free to do 100% again.
There we go.
Yep.
And I'll get my rematch with Dish.
I lost.
But yeah,
um,
go ahead.
I was looking at my splits and I lost 8.5 minutes to the Cistern RBW.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
I
was pretty
would've-
painful
yeah.
to watch actually, but in Skyward Sword you lose minutes just for one wrong move. It's
I
one
mean,
of those games.
Yeah, I was hoping Chimera would make a mistake to let me back into it. But he was very solid after Skyview.
I mean, you got Horde Skip and Chimera didn't, so that's kind of how you kind of closed the gap in the end. But yeah,
That was, I think, my last hope.
yeah. But it was kind of that crash that kind of sealed it in some ways.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if it had just been the crash and I had done it right the second time, I think I
Yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
had a shot.
But-
It was really the second one, I think.
Yeah,
Starting early.
yeah. But this is Skyward Sword, so
The way it goes.
for that 8.5 minute time loss, just blame Jim. It's all Jim's fault.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
He made the
Always
game
is.
hard.
Yeah,
Everything in any percent is now Jim's fault.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
no.
he's the one who turned this run from a 5-hour chill run to a 2-hour hard run.
Train wreck, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, GG to both of you, and a big shout out to KitKat for doing the commentary.
Thanks.
Thanks, KitKat.
Thank you.
You're actually spending a lot of time doing the commentary for these.
Yeah.
That free Corona time kicking in.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. Even though we were sadly on 3, I'm pretty sure we'll be back on the main channel or on 2 for the next matches. Busy weekends lately on ZSR, as well for that also goes for tomorrow. There's only 4 streams, I believe, but all of these are really long. So yeah, expect more of that tomorrow. And again, thanks for watching, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back tomorrow. So yeah, take care, and we'll see you soon.
Peace out.
Nice.